Hey guys, Moon Mama here. I wanted to do something that I was inspired by on Pinterest. I want to make a pendulum jar with you guys, a spirit pendulum jar today. I have had my hubs go ahead and put the hole in the jar so I could fit the pendulum in there. That was going to be the hardest part for me of everything. He had the proper tools and went ahead and did that part for me. You can probably see it swinging back there a little bit. That's just because I had just put everything on there to get ready to show you guys. But I have all my ingredients that I'm going to use here to craft this spirit pendulum jar, and I thought it would be something really fun on the channel to do. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of them or worked with them, but it is a form of divination, and I just seen it and thought they were really beautiful, and it really inspired me, so I decided I was going to make one today. So let's get into it. I did already cleanse the jar with one of these goddess incense matches that Silver Soul Fox had sent me. So that is done and out of the way. But I also want to rub my jar down with my Florida water here. I'm getting a little low. I'm gonna need to get some more soon. But I am going to kind of just wipe the jar down with that as well. And then I'm going to explain to you why I am putting what I'm putting into it, and what properties they're going to be used for. Okay guys, so first things first, we are going to kind of wipe the jar down with Florida water. I'm going to go ahead and take my pendulum out of there for now, so we can do this. Let's go ahead and get some on. And I'm just gonna kind of wipe it down with my intentions of connecting with spirit and cleansing any negative energy. If you are going to use Florida water, please take note that it is very flammable. Be very careful when you are using Florida water in any kind of spell work. And I'm just going to kind of dry this off. Sorry, I don't have loads of room on my altar at this moment. So I'm going to just wipe that remaining moisture from the Florida water off there. The jar smells amazing, and it's been cleansed inside and out. So there's our jar. So next I am going to put some remaining salt mixture from an intuition spell that I did not long ago. I'm going to use the remaining herbs because everything that's in this is already going to be going into my jar anyways. So we are going to pour that in here. I might make a mess that way. Let me get my little spoon. And I can just scoop it in there. So we're going to put all of that in the jar to start. Okay. So we have our salt and our remaining herbs from that intuition spell that I did in the bottom there. Sorry guys, in particular, I want to get it spread out in there how I want it. Okay. So we have the salt. Salt is good for cleansing and purifying, of course. So next I want to add my eggshell and dragon's blood blend that I have here. I'm going to add a couple scoops of that. And I also have some ground clove in my eggshells. I've got ground clove, dragon's blood, and then the eggshells in there, of course. We're going to do a couple scoops of those in there. And I am using the eggshells for protection, cleansing, and it's also good to shield from spiritual attacks. So I wanted to incorporate that in there. And then we are going to add some black salt to our spirit pendulum jar as well. And I'm going to be using this for setting boundaries and purification. This is the cutest little black salt. Silver Soul Fox sent me this in a little care package that she sent me. So we're going to add some of that black salt in there. Don't want to add too much because with your ingredients you really don't need to use a whole lot, just a little bit, just the smallest pinch can suffice for what you need to use it for, honestly, in witchcraft or your spell jar or whatever you're making. And then I'm going to add a couple crystals in here. Let me just show you that so far. So I am going to be putting a howlite stone in here to elevate consciousness and to connect to higher spiritual realms. So we're just gonna drop that in there. And then I also have a clear quartz that I'm going to add to the jar to raise the energy of my spirit pendulum working here. Okay. And then I also want to add some clear quartz chips, also just to raise the energy. Also good for cleansing. They also take the place of any stone. You could switch them out if you don't have a specific stone, you know, kind of like a white candle in candle magic, kind of universal. So we're going to sprinkle the clear quartz chips in there. And then I'm going to add some amethyst chips for enhancing intuition and for spiritual protection. Amethyst is seriously one of my favorite crystals. It's also my birthstone. So we're going to add the amethyst chips in there. And you can do these however you feel drawn. I'm using everything that I was drawn to make this personal for myself. Okay, so next we are going to add some mugwort to our jar. And I'm adding this into the jar for intuition, psychic insight, and kind of a protection from fatigue. I also love a good cup of mugwort tea. If you guys haven't tried that in your spiritual practices or routines, it's definitely something that I like to do before going to bed to try to connect with your dreams a little better. But we're going to add the mugwort in there. And then also going to use Damiana to kind of create a gentle space for connection to past loved ones and for awareness. And then I chose to include rosemary for ancestor connections, and it is also a good memory enhancer. So we're going to add a little rosemary in there. And then we are going to do some lavender for peacefulness, overcoming challenges, and to attract positive relationships. with spirit. And then last but definitely not least, I am going to use some rose petals for love, healing, and positive energy. Got my rose petals in there. And now I'm just going to kind of show you guys the best I can what all I have in my jar here. And I'm going to kind of arrange the best I can. This is quite a deep jar because I wanted to have a jar that was big enough to fit the pendulum in there comfortably when I do attach that part. I'm just kind of at the moment not on camera because space reasons, but I'm just kind of adjusting everything in there the way I want it to be. So there is our spirit pendulum jar, and then we're going to put our pendulum in there and adjust it to kind of the length we want it to be there. And it's going a little wild at the moment, but it will settle down. And there we have our spirit pendulum jar. Let me know if you guys have ever made one of these of your own or use them for divination or spirit working with your ancestors or anything like that at all. I would love to know if you guys have done this or have thought about doing this as well. I thought it was really cool and I wanted to share it with you guys. It's so pretty. It's so simple, but so pretty. And you can add or take from, change the intentions of it, however you want to do it. You could refresh it, add to it, take from it, like I said. Really just make it your own, what you connect with. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And until next time, stay magical.